Good evening, everyone. Greetings and love. This is Marcia from Gnoshery Libertas, and we are doing Sanctuary this evening on a Friday night. This is episode 37 on September 23rd, 2022. And we have everyone here on the live call tonight, which is amazing. And we look forward to those of you who are joining us in the replay beyond, as we can always feel your energies as well. And if you would ever choose to be a live guest on the call, we'd love to have you. You can search for Gnoshery Libertas on patreon.com or Gnoshery Cafe on Buy Me a Coffee. And so every week, typically on Monday nights around 7:30 Pacific time, we get together to discuss the weave, or the term that I use, that Spirit or Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, whatever word you want to call that which is both moving through us but also outside of us. This perspective of the divine that gives a more eagle eye, a more vantage perspective than perhaps the narrow viewpoint, or kind of the confrontive viewpoint that we often have in our human personalities. And so Spirit gave me this word, the weave, to kind of encapsulate this interior realm, exterior realm, how our inner soul realms actually connect to what is going on in our outer realm, how we're actually the co-creators of our reality with Spirit. And when we begin to understand that power and begin to use our co-creative abilities with Spirit, we start to see life taking on an entirely different I want to say veneer, but it's like the veneer is gone. Like, you're finally seeing life for what it truly is. You're finally experiencing the magic that is within every ordinary moment, because when you're connected to Spirit, you are realizing there is no ordinary moment. And so we come together every week to talk about the themes, the energies that are coming through, that Spirit thinks are most important for our human selves to know right now, so that we can best navigate these waters in a more responsive way, rather than maybe from a triggered or reactive perspective, where we are feeling a victim to what is happening to us, rather than understanding that we work with the Creator, and as a co-creator, we can bring that energy to move through us and for us. And so often Spirit will use lyrics, song lyrics, as I'm in meditation, to bring forth concepts that might be harder to understand from a more linear perspective. And so you'll hear a lot of lyrics tonight coming forth to help us better understand some of the concepts and the transmission that Spirit wants to bring through. The light transmission tonight is titled Follow the Ache, or subtitled the lyrics, When I Was the Ocean and You Were the Moon. And Spirit really wanting to kind of hone in tonight on our yearnings, our desires, our longings, and also the aches and pains that we are feeling in our physical bodies, but also perhaps maybe restless feelings or unsettled thoughts that we might be experiencing in our mental and emotional fields. And wants us to understand that these are not things to be ignored or denied or avoided, or simply, given a pill and kind of swept under the rug. These are actually divine messengers. And when we can begin to listen to these desires, these longings, these aches and these pains, to follow the ache, as Spirit said, then we begin to understand our life as a beloved in this intimate partnership with Source, with the Creator. And so we start to feel this energy of, when I was the ocean and you were the moon, or as Spirit calls it in my reality, breathe you me, where there's this energy of the in-breath, the out-breath, and that moment of God in between. And so the very first lyrics tonight from Spirit were, why do you keep reaching for my hand? Do you see something I can't? Why do you try to save me? And the feeling that I got here was that this is actually the ego's perspective to Spirit, to God, saying, why do you keep reaching out for me? Or to love, whatever name you want to call that infinite intelligence, that infinite awareness and wisdom. Do you see something I can't? So do you see something in me that I don't? And the answer is yes, absolutely, Spirit does. And why do you try to save me? So why are you always here, in my final hour, in the 11th hour? And any of us who have been through hard times know that sometimes it's only in that 11th hour that we really start to feel the clasp of that hand of God. And so the next lyrics were, sometimes I pray I will change into who you think I am. And once again, this feeling from the ego, or from the human self, the personality perspective, that We are praying to change into the highest and deepest and greatest, most beautiful embodied version of ourselves, but that we need that co-creative power with spirit in order to do that, that simply on our own, it is not enough. And so we're encouraged, this when I was the ocean and you were the moon, to follow this yearning, these desires, these longings, because they wouldn't have been placed on our hearts if there was not a reason for them, that they are here as divine messengers. And the lyrics, it's going to leave you in pieces, all alone with your demons. I know that we need this, but I'm too afraid to follow through. And so once again, this feeling of like, man, like this is confrontive. Like, I don't know if I've got what it takes to face my demons, to face, all of my shadow parts. And yet the collective voice of the soul coming forth saying, I know that we need this, not just individually, but all of us collectively. And we may have been too afraid to follow through. And yet we're encouraged right now that this is the only path through. In fact, this was on the song Hurt Somebody. And this feeling from spirit that we're going to continue as a collective species to continue hurting ourselves and each other if we do not face this collective shadow, if we do not begin to deepen into these yearnings, desires, and longings and begin to address these aches and these pains. Because once again, these are the divine messengers from source, and they are here to support us, to uplift us, but also to guide us and help focus us in the direction that we really want to go. So before I get into the supporting energies for the evening, I'm going to open the floor if anyone has anything they want to share or offer. With the transmission of Follow the Ache, we have the supporting energies of true freedom. And Spirit is going to explain what true freedom is from that perspective. And as well, kind of tune us into the divine longings, which are drawing us into the sacred art of co-creation with Spirit. What is the point of these longings? What is the point of these, the desires that we are having? Well, it's simply to draw us closer into the sacred art of co-creation with Spirit, and to lead us into this untapped possibility and this deep well of creativity. And so the very first energy to focus on here is that of true freedom. And Spirit said, this is doing what is right for our lives, no matter what anyone else thinks, where we are embodying a love for our soul that defies social customs and expectations. And this is really hard on the ego, to really put ourselves into any situation or relationship that is defying the tribe or is defying the social custom and expectation. And yet we're encouraged that we are the ones here to embody this love for soul that defies these social customs and that moves beyond these limited expectations. That this is a spiritual path focused on the cultivation of a personal and intimate relationship with the divine, the unswaying tree during the times of chaos and conflict, where we are with steadfast faith and goodwill. Direct access to the divine. We need no conduit between us. And this was really important, that Spirit want us to know that there needs to be no one between ourselves and God. We have direct access to the divine. And we can move through any suffering, knowing that all suffering is with purpose, which leads to our ultimate freedom. And in fact, we always have the choice of whether or not to even view it as suffering. We have the opportunity to actually drop in and view it as an initiation, or perhaps an underworld lesson that is bringing us forward into the depth and the greater self and the more embodied self of who we actually came here to be. The lyrics, so we'll call it all believing in the art. There's evidence and remnants of a spark, a strong belief there'll be a better part when the hoping ends. All these memories get written in the scars. Now every dream is left among the stars. Force that dreaded raven to depart when the snow begins. And this feeling from Spirit that, just like the title of the song suggests, that we have outgrown this art of doing it on our own, this art of believing that we are a personality self with a title, with a job, with a role, when in fact we are evidence and remnants of a spark. And Spirit also is reminding us within these lyrics that there is a better part. that we are moving into the grace of our sovereignty, but it's not going to come from hoping. It will be written in our scars, and it will be in the dreams we left among the stars. So it's in the humanity, it's in the whole human spectrum of what we came here to create and to experience. And so this last lyric of "force that dreaded raven to depart when the snow begins" felt like it was multi-layered in code. In fact, Spirit guided me to spiritanimals.org and just to what they spoke about here of the raven. And it was that ravens symbolically represent the ability to recognize different vibrations due to their sensitivity, that they can assess their surroundings and leave toxic environments accordingly. So we are these ravens, these beings that have attuned our sensitivity to assess our surroundings at a much deeper level. And it also is allowing us to be right place, right time, and to allow us to leave toxic environments before they even become toxic to begin with. This is what Spirit refers to as mystical intelligence, where we begin cutting ties with any unwanted experiences or any weaves that we want to say upweave or reweave, as we want to use Spirit's language, if we want to use Spirit's language, I should say. And so this is flexibility. This is the ability to deliver the right words in the right context. And we talked about that in previous weeks, that we were being asked to be the light, to be, the divine walking, and to know that when we are attuned to our own soul and to Spirit, that we are always delivering the right words in the right context, because our personality self has stepped out of the way. Our personhood has taken that step back and is allowing the divine to move through us, which allows us to actually shift the larger weave. And I believe that's what they mean when they say, be the soul of the place that you are going. When we are aligned, we are the soul. We have the ability to shift the larger weave. And it does not come from that limited human perspective. It comes from that co-creative relationship. And Spirit acknowledges that we're also healing our traumatic experiences, that we're no longer making our choices based on external expectations or how we perceive others will think or feel about our actions. So this theme coming back around, our choices are not based on what society wants or what our parents want for us or what our spouse wants or how we perceive others will think or feel about what we do. Spirit says ultimately only we can know what is right for us and what needs to be done or said. This is discernment. This is discernment, to stand up for what we know is right, even when we experience judgment for it. That this fear of persecution convinces us not to be true to who we really are. And yet we can tune into a love far greater than these human constructs or these cultural values and societal expectations. Love is now setting us free from any expectations that bind us. It finds us in whatever form we need and asks us to remain loyal to our soul, no matter what. Any outside force or person who asks us to betray our most intimate relationship with the divine is not acting out of love. We must bravely defy expectations in order to be true to ourselves. And then the lyrics, you battle my demons, you're still undefeated. And the song is titled September. And I thought it was really interesting because we had lyrics in August from Dear August. And now in September, we have a song titled September. And this feeling of, Spirit, God, source, whatever you want to call the all that is battling our demons for us and is still undefeated, has never been defeated. And so we can trust that as we are willing to confront these shadow aspects or these other aspects of self that maybe we have hidden or denied or avoided, that we will be undefeated when we are co-creating with Spirit. And we're once again encouraged to pay attention to any physical and emotional aches in our body, mind, or emotional fields. Rather than ignoring these signals, we must observe them as messengers. We ask the aches and pains in our body what message they have for us. And this is really helpful and beneficial to do in writing, and often brings forth profound things that our mind could never have come up with, just kind of sitting and pondering. We're also encouraged to no longer dismiss the yearnings and deepest desires of our hearts, and trust that if we feel something this strongly, that the divine has implanted this seed of light within us. We trust in divine timing, knowing that with every step, we are moving closer to the experiences, the situations, opportunities, relationships, and resources that we need. This is a moment to tune into any physical body aches and soul yearnings. Are we ready to embrace their messages, to fully receive them, and to act upon them? So I'm going to take a moment before we move into the next energy and open the floor. Our next energy spirit titled Trust the Longing. And we're encouraged to remember that within us is everything that we need to draw toward us perfect love and perfect trust. The lyrics activated here were, I think I've found a way to keep myself whole. I write my fears on green notes. I swallow my doubts away, watch them grow old. Is that why the past years seemed slow? Take me, my heart and my soul, pick me apart and look inside. Fill me with dreams I can't hold. Keep me afloat in this cold, cold world. Tell me it won't hurt, and now I'm your passenger. The old me won't work. Now I'm your passenger. And spirit kind of signaling to the ego here, this is coming from the ego's voice, like, oh man, I finally found a way to keep myself whole. And it's definitely not chasing these green notes. I'm beginning to swallow my doubts away, and the past years are, kind of, I'm leaving these behind as I'm asking my heart and my soul to take me, like, pick me apart, show me where I need to grow. Now I'm your passenger. So this willingness, that's all we need, is to say, like, okay, like, I surrender. I don't know better. And of course, the divine always offers us our free will. We're, free and encouraged in any moment to make our own choices. But often the choices that are without wisdom lead to suffering. And so we are always offered those choices that are based in love when we are tuned inward and willing to receive what, is coming through from our intuition. So when we are in this co-creative relationship with spirit, we can trust that not only our soul passion is ignited, but our physical passions here on earth. And spirit said that asking is the beginning. By believing in our true nature, we are drawing toward us everything that wishes to uplift, support, and adore us. But we must be quiet, still, and believe. Trust that we would not have this ache, this longing, this yearning, if the spark of it was not seated within our heart. These divine longings, which draw us into the sacred art of co creation with spirit, into sensual delight, ecstasy, and bliss, but also into our deepest and greatest challenges and our most confronting fears. What comes up within me when I tune into these feelings of bliss and sensual delight? Do I feel worthy to receive? We're encouraged to observe and lovingly embrace any woundings which are triggered and which rise to the surface, knowing that within this loving embrace, all can be released as a wish on the wind. The lyrics here, we're holding back the flood in this skyscraper town. You gave all that sweat and blood. Now you think you're going to drown. You can't tell that you're bigger than the sea that you're sinking in, but you don't know what you got, but you got it at your fingertips. You got it in you. You've got it in you. When the lights go out and leave you standing in the dark, no one ever told you that this would be so hard. I know you think your fire's burning out, but I still see you shining through. You've got it in you. And the lyrics, not everything you hear should sound like the truth, because nobody else's words can define you. And what spirit is bringing through here is that yeah, it's hard. Like, the ego feels pressed up against a corner most of the time lately, and yet no one else's words can define us. I think we had a lyric a few calls back where it's like, I'm breathing someone else's air, and spirit's like, you can't do that anymore. Like, no one else's words can define your spirit. No one else's air, you cannot breathe someone else's air without losing your path in the process. And so Spirit is just wanting to remind us that we have everything we need within us. It is truly at our fingertips. And this card also brings forth sacred union, or what we might call the lovers at the highest, most divine level. And when we reach this level of unity, it's beyond any physical, societal expectation of love. And these souls have been through many trials, through many times and spaces in order to be together. This is the union of soulmates and divine companions. So we are not just speaking about couples here, we are talking about whole soul groups, that these are evolutionary partnerships, which are now igniting and taking hold, and especially when they are fed with sweetness, embrace, and passion. Um, as well, Spirit says there is the necessity of our romantic gestures to our own soul, or what we might call romancing the soul. So, this need to be loving ourselves first, to be asking our inner self what it needs, and to make sure that we are responding to those needs. Because once again, it cycles back to this theme of, we cannot base our choices on what the world or others think of us. We must make these gestures to self, to this higher self, because then we know that we are truly following and walking with the wisdom of God. And we're treasuring ourselves enough to nurture this love, to grow it, and to share it. This is the time, Spirit says, of finding sacred love and of protecting it. The lyrics, it's okay to be scared, it's frightening. At times, it feels like the world is trying so hard to knock us down. Get on my shoulder and I'll carry you all of the way. Through the depths of despair, we stumble, and all of that distance between us, we crumble. We come out the other side with something beautiful. Oh, how we've grown every single day. I'm proud. And I know there is nothing that can stop us now. And this feeling that, once again, that these companionships that are coming together, they might bring us to our knees in some ways. They may be very confrontive and frightening, or in some ways feel like they are knocking us down, but they are bringing us to the other side with something beautiful. And this is not just happening with us individually, but this is also happening with us as a whole, collectively. We are kind of moving through this distance. We're crumbling the distance between us, and we will be coming out the other side with something beautiful. We're encouraged right now that relationships need tending. Remember that love cannot flourish with mistrust or anxiety. True love lies in our willingness to believe that we can experience passionate love, and that we are well worthy of its ecstasies, no matter our beliefs about our age, health, finances, beauty, etc. That we are creating self-loving moments throughout our day. And so as we are creating these self-loving moments throughout our day, we are attracting toward us that love. What does that look like? Well, only we can know what it looks like for us, but we certainly will know it when we feel it. And Spirit says, know that sensuality, physical union, and bliss are our divine birthrights. So there is no one out there who is unworthy of this love. And finally, the lyrics within this part of the meditation, the same kind of music haunts her bedroom. I'm almost me again. She's almost you. And this feeling from the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the beloveds which are within all of us, and kind of moving through us within these relationships and partnerships, that we're finding people who have the same kind of music that haunt their bedroom as we do, these like-minded, like-hearted people. And this lyric of I'm almost me again, she's almost you, this feeling of us remembering our divine rapture within ourselves and within each other, remembering that we are the divine, the spark, and the remnants of that spark. And so Spirit says, allow any feelings of need to fall away, and instead replace them with deep knowing that we are truly worthy of love. So I'm going to take a moment before I move on to the last theme tonight to open the floor. The final supporting energy tonight around this light transmission of following the ache, or really listening to our yearnings, our desires, our longings, and those body aches and pains, as well as any unsettled thoughts or feelings within our mental and emotional fields. The lyrics activated here were, my head is an ocean, and I'm getting homesick for a place I've never known. And I just keep laughing when I'm stuck in traffic at the metaphor that I've become. Maybe I'm restless, a manic depressive, or maybe I need someone, or maybe not. So please just give me something for the pain, because my heart softens to your name. And when you're gone, I come undone. And when you're gone, how come I'm weak? And I walk wires and I pull teeth, and I'm so tired of chasing dreams. I need someone to wake me up. I need someone to wake me up. And this feeling from the ego that its head is an ocean and it's homesick for this place that it's never known, but it longs for. It knows that we're meant to create paradise on earth. It knows that it is a spark of the divine. It just forgets how to do it. And so this is why spirit guides us with the weave and kind of brings us back into our natural alignment. And these are the energies of romance and travel and potential, all of those things that bring our heart alive. This yearning that leads us to discover a source of untapped and virtually unlimited potential. A simple yet inspirational idea which comes to us and has us looking at life from a totally new perspective. Through this, we create something new and something of lasting value. We're encouraged to relax, to unwind, and to enjoy this time. The reflective light of the moon fills our hearts and reveals a deep well of creative possibility. This suggests that our answers will not be found on the surface, but through the discovery of self-inquiry and soul devotion. The lyrics, so take these words and make them right. So one day you and I will write our names in the sky, we'll confide, and I'll find mine on the right of your side, and I'll find mine on the right of your side. If I throw away my fear and pride to set things right, then I'll find mine on the right of your side. And brothers and sisters, fill these cups with life. Please forgive them, because they know not their lives. So take these words and make them right. So one day you and I will write our names in the sky, we'll confide. And this feeling from spirit that when we're on the right of our side, when we are in alignment, that is, when we are co-creating with our soul, with our spirit, with the trinity of our human personality, it is not left out of the flow of the trinity, then we have the ability to not only make it right within our own weave, but to help the world at large make it right. So we're encouraged to trust these longings, to trust these yearnings, because they are leading us in a direction of truth and to true freedom. They are bringing us, drawing us into the sacred art of procreation with spirit, which once again leads to this untapped possibility and an infinite well of creativity. And we talked last week about innovation and revelation. And so we are encouraged to follow the ache, no matter how uncomfortable or painful or confronting it may be at times, because we will change into the greatest version of ourselves. Once again, this feeling of when I was the ocean and you were the moon. So following the tide, following the motion of the ocean's connection to the moon and how it brings everything together within that divine dance. So once again tonight, why do you keep reaching for my hand? Do you know or see something I can't? Why do you try to save me? Spirit bringing it back around to say that we all deserve to be, to experience, and to fully feel the highest, deepest, greatest, most embodied version of ourselves. And we do so by following these desires, that they are the arrows, they are the guides on this path. And so I will end that tonight with this feeling that we all have the ability to create this alchemy, to experience this true freedom, and to finally experience and bring not only into our individual lives, but the world at large, these new revelations, these new possibilities, and these greater ways to live in harmony with ourselves and each other so that we can actually experience the paradise on earth that Spirit says we were born to create and to live. So thank you all for coming tonight. I will open the floor one more time. I'm also going to keep the recording is going to shut down, but we're going to keep the call going for some of our more intimate tea and cookies chat. But I will open the floor one more time before we close it down for this part of the night. Just want to take a moment to thank everyone for gathering, especially on a Friday night. I really appreciate your energy in being here, both live on the call and also listening in the replay. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully next week. I might be out of town this coming Monday, but if not, we will gather for episode 38 as soon as possible. Those of you on the call will take about 30 seconds to close the space, and I will meet you afterward for the chat. Thank you again, everybody, for coming. I appreciate you so much.